Start off by introducing myself. My name is Mustafa. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the Director of Campaigns and Strategies at CCAN, and welcome to welcome to the call tonight for our Make Polluters Pay campaign. Very excited to have all of you here. So I know that some of you have been with us a long time, some of you are new, and we're really excited to be giving you an update on where this fight is and to be hearing from our partners on why this fight is so important and to get into our breakout rooms to be talking about how we can be organizing and doing in-district meetings to move the ball forward for this veto campaign, this veto override campaign. So, as we get started, I'm going to ask for my colleagues to enter into the chat just a link to a Google form where you can fill it out, and you might be a lucky winner, one of 20 people to get an amazing Make Polluters Pay T-shirt. The second thing is I'm going to ask for somebody to put a link in the chat just to look up your legislators on the Maryland General Assembly website. As before we go into the breakouts, really helpful for you all to know that information because we're going to be assigning breakouts based on your legislative districts. Okay, so tonight we'll just start off with Brittany talking to us about the Renew Act, and then we're going to hear from our partner organizations on what they've been doing to further this campaign, and and then we'll talk to you about how you can get involved, and starting off with actually sending an email to Target during the call, an email to your legislators. And then we're going to launch into our breakout rooms and start organizing for our in-district meetings. And then we'll end out with a sharing out of just highlights from the facilitators, highlights from your breakouts, and what are the immediate next steps. So I'm going to pass it off to Brittany.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brittany Baker, Maryland Director for Chesapeake Climate Action Network. And I'm really excited to see all of you here. I want to do a few shout outs. You know, I'm seeing people from Prince George's County, Bethesda, Silver Spring, Waldorf, Catonsville, Baltimore City, Baltimore County. We're really, this is a robust turnout for this call. And so, just as Mustafa said, we're going to start off with some context because it's important to build relationships with legislators, but also you have to know, what you want to talk about. So, we're here in a very interesting moment because last year we lobbied, we advocated, we protested, and we successfully got the Renew Act study bill over the finish line. And so to give you a little bit of detail about the study bill, it passed through both chambers and was sent to the governor. And the details of the bill are that it required the comptroller to conduct a cost study of climate change in the state. And the comptroller would calculate the costs, one, of current climate impacts, because we know that we're experiencing climate change right now, but also do some projections to look into the future and determine how much is adapting to climate change going to continue to cost us into the future. And so the cost of the study was $500,000, which would all come from the Strategic Energy Investment Fund. And that's actually one of the intended purposes of this special fund, to pay for climate action. And so the work will be housed in the comptroller's sustainability office, but that's an extremely small team. And so we know the comptroller was excited to work with partners in order to get the work done. And one last thing about the study bill, it also required an assessment to ensure that when we do the implementation bill, there won't be a pass-through cost to households. And that's a really important piece of this study that we want to make sure continues to get done. So on to the next slide. Mustafa, are you in charge of the slides? There we go. So the we know we passed that bill and we did everything we could to get it over the finish line, but unfortunately, it was vetoed along with a few other study bills. And in the rationale about the veto, the governor said the chaos from Washington makes every day more challenging than the last. And we definitely agree with that. It has been a challenging season for the United States. It has been a challenging season for Maryland. But at the end of the day, you can't comb over climate change. I don't know if anybody has our button that says that, but it's the truth. Even though we're in a time of historical rollbacks, of a lot of antagonism, we still at the state level can take action on climate. We know that this summer, Maryland faced more extreme heat illness and death than we have since 2020. And we also had more flash flooding events than we've experienced since 2020 as well. And so climate action is necessary for Maryland. Climate action is necessary for the federal government, and Maryland can continue to take the lead. So we are calling on the Maryland General Assembly to reaffirm their support for this crucial study by overturning the veto. Next slide. So I'm going to show you this video that we recorded last year from a woman who lives on the Eastern Shore, because one thing about our Renew Act campaign is a piece of it is ensuring equitable climate action across the state. So not only do we want to solve for what's happening in Howard County and Montgomery County, but we also want to solve problems on the Eastern Shore, in Baltimore City, in Highland Beach. And so let's watch this video for a second to get a sense of how saltwater intrusion specifically is affecting the Eastern Shore.
Mustafa, we can't
Sorry.
hear.
I'm sorry.
So
Um,
Mustafa,
well,
you just have to stop
share
sharing.
sound. Yeah, and share sound.
Yes, exactly.
Uh,
While we're doing that, I'll give some more shout outs from the chat. I see we have Beverly from Hyattsville, and also Mel from Waldorf, Nicole from Charles County. It's a very important county for us. Who else do we have? Leslie from District 16.
all right.
Been here about 35 years. We had a storm about 3 weeks ago that flooded our whole lane, and it was like halfway up to our knees, and I've never seen it that bad before. So this tree, about 3 years ago, it started losing its leaves. This really beautiful green tree is now that. And in real bad storms, the water will surround the tree. And so, you know, all that salt is getting into the tree. The salt water killed it. And that's happening a lot. I mean, this field is so much wetter than it was, say, 5 years ago. We used to rent out the field to farmers, and it was very productive at first. But then last year, it was nothing. It's all just salty mud, dirt, sand. I was sorry to see the farmers go. They weren't getting any yield, so they weren't getting any money. Their future's at stake. I mean, what are they going to do when they can't grow what they've always grown? And I know if you live far away from it, you don't think about that. But when you see the water come up under your house, under your porch, and then you think, oh, what's going on here? and what can we do to help it. And keep it so that my granddaughter can have it.
That's right. So just as she wrapped up that video for us, what can we do? We can support Renew. We can support this veto override. So we need to get it over the finish line. So I have two more slides to show you about other places in Maryland that are continuing to experience these impacts. We know the nickname for Maryland is America in miniature. And that makes us uniquely vulnerable to climate change because we're experiencing all the various impacts, whether it's saltwater intrusion affecting farmland, or whether it's flooding in our urban centers, or whether extreme heat in areas with a low tree canopy, or whether it is all of the other climate change impacts. We're seeing it all across our state. Next slide. And then the other thing that became really important this summer is the fact that we had the extreme flooding in Allegheny County, and FEMA denied us the ability to recover from that flood because they would not give us funding. And also heat, illness, and death. We have some very concentrated urban centers where, because of, historical racism, redlining, underinvestment, you really see a lot of heat illness and a lot of exposure to extreme heat. Next slide. So now what we want to do is take a moment to have some of our closest coalition partners who've been working with us in this fight, working to on the Renew campaign generally, but specifically on the veto override over the summer. They're going to introduce themselves and talk a bit about how they've been supporting this work. So let's start off with Iman, to introduce yourself, your pronouns, and a little bit about your organization.
Sure. Thank you so much, Brittany. Thank you so much for inviting me to this panel, and thank you everyone for joining tonight. My name is Iman Habib, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a climate policy analyst with Progressive Maryland, which is a radically inclusive, power-building grassroots organization. I know that's such a mouthful, but we essentially empower low-income Black and Brown communities that are directly impacted by climate injustices to be in decision-making spaces. And outside of just the environmental justice lens, we also work to ensure housing and healthcare justice. I will just popcorn it over to Lindsay.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Lindsay Mendelson, she, her. I'm the Senior Transportation Campaign Representative with the Maryland Sierra Club, and Maryland Sierra Club works on a lot of different issues related to environmental protection. One of our missions is to enjoy, explore, and protect the planet. And we really care a lot about making sure that people can live in a healthy environment where they can breathe clean air, where they can drink clean water, and to make sure that they can get out and explore all the wonderful natural areas that we have. And with that, I'll pass it off to the next person.
Anya, how about you go next?
Hi, my name is Anya. I am the co-founder and co-director of Vote 16 Maryland, and I also use she, her, hers pronouns. Vote 16 Maryland is a statewide coalition working to lower the voting age to 16 across Maryland municipalities, and we also do work on the statewide level. And research suggests that one of the top political issues for youth in America has to do with climate change, because as the video communicated that was just played, youth are going to have to, in large part, carry the brunt of the responsibility for a lot of the things that are happening to our environment right now. And so we've been doing a lot of work as a coalition in partnering with organizations like CCAN that do work to protect the environment. And we also work with legislators closely to put forth pieces of legislation that reflect youth priorities. And climate change, flooding, a lot of these issues sit at the centerpiece of what youth care about today. And I will pass it off to the next speaker.
Rob.
Good evening, everybody. It's so nice to be here. My name is Rob Wald. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm with Third Act Maryland. Third Act is a nationwide organization made up of people 60 and older, and we focus on climate change issues and democracy as well, because we need a strong democracy if we're going to tackle climate change and all the related issues to climate change. And we've been partnering with CCAN since we launched in 2023 on a variety of climate change campaigns, including the Renew Act, and we mobilize our members to lobby in Annapolis and do lots of other good work. And older Americans are an at-risk group when it comes to climate change for a variety of reasons. And I know Brittany just mentioned the heat-related deaths, and older people are especially vulnerable. So the Renew Act is very important to us in Third Act Maryland.
Fantastic. I want to acknowledge Nature Forward and also Food and Water Watch. They weren't able to join us tonight, but they are partners in the fight. And then I also want to acknowledge my partners at CCAN, Beth, Justin, and Mustafa. Feel free to chime in during this short panel discussion if you would like. So let's start off. Why is this fight so important to you? I know for me, I'm a mom. I have 3 little kids, and climate change feels the most real to me in the middle of the summer when I want to go outside and I'm forced to stay inside because of the extreme heat. But other people, how does climate change feel really personal to you?
Yeah, oh, go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I really, what you said, Brittany, really resonates with me. I'm a parent as well, and hope to be a grandparent before too long, and I'm extremely concerned about the future for all younger people. But also, it has hit my pocketbook a bit. I had to spend I spent $13,000 recently on stormwater drainage and mitigation for my house. I had to get extra large gutters and downspouts installed. So, it has cost me already, and probably will in the future.
Thanks, Rob. Anya, you wanted to chime in as well?
Yeah, I think maybe to offer a younger perspective, I think I have not yet had to go through the experience of wanting to go outside with my kids in the midst of summer heat. But I have already kind of seen a lot of the repercussions of climate change becoming more and more severe, and as Rob mentioned, becoming more and more costly. And when I talk to people within the Vote 16 coalition, people at large, and also reflect on my own concerns, a really, really, really big difficulty is that these things cost money and they impact the ability of individuals to live in certain areas, to do certain things. And as the years go on, these problems will become more and more intense. And so I'm currently 17 years old, but in 40 years, I'm sure climate change is going to be far, far worse if we don't make drastic changes now. And so thinking about the future and again, the problem of responsibility in terms of who's going to face the brunt of a lot of these issues, I think as a youth, it's really, really concerning what's happening. And that's really why the Make Polluters Pay movement is so important in my eyes.
Thank you for sharing that, Anya. And I see a couple hands up. Feel free to put your answer in the chat if you're not on the panel, but you're going to have a chance to talk about this more when we go into breakout rooms. So the question we were just answering is, why is this fight so important to you? And the next question, why is this fight important to your organization and the communities you organize with specifically? And I'm going to pass that question to Iman.
Yeah, sure. So, Progressive Maryland actually sits on the Equity Fund's Maryland Grassroots Environmental Justice Working Group, which is made up of a lot of different community-based grassroots organizations. And Progressive Maryland, as well as some of these organizations, have substantial membership in Baltimore City, a region that is burdened with various environmental injustices. And we really feel that the Renew Study Bill is a precursor for the implementation Renew bill, which will hopefully fund climate adaptation programs and will allocate a percentage of that funding to overburdened and underserved communities, many of which are residing in Baltimore City. And just based on, the various campaigns that we've learned about through our membership and some of the other organizations' memberships, funding for clean energy and or improved public health are both areas that could significantly benefit. Investing in energy sources that aren't, burning trash, for example, would alleviate the environmental and health deterioration that is plaguing Baltimore as of now because of industries such as the Brusco incinerator. And just building on that, investing in public health services will help address poor air quality and also work to alleviate adverse health outcomes to support Baltimore communities that are, being disproportionately affected by climate change. So for all those reasons, we really resonate with this campaign, and we're really hopeful that this will be a significant win for environmental justice in the state of Maryland and specifically in Baltimore City.
Thank you for that, Iman. Lindsay, do you want to chime in on that question as well?
Yeah, definitely. So we're really excited about the Renew Act campaign. We're really grateful for CCAN's leadership and many other organizations. Climate change is happening here and now, and we know that it's also going to be impacting future generations, as folks have mentioned. In particular, I wanted to call out a few of the public health impacts. So folks may have remembered, in 2023, there were the Canadian wildfires that were fueled by climate change. In fact, that year, there were actually 17 code orange and 3 code red air days, what was unhealthy for people to breathe. And the EPA had admitted that the high ozone levels in the area were caused by the Canadian wildfires. And we also know that these high ozone levels are increasing the frequency of asthma attacks, more emergency visits, and school absences. And actually, in places like Baltimore, 1 in 3 high school students have asthma. So this is just one of the many, public health impacts. There's also the mental health impacts of climate change, that it's a whole other story that you could talk about. And then it was also just noted on the personal level, how is this impacting folks? Unfortunately, I know several people that have Lyme disease, and Maryland has one of the highest Lyme disease rates in the country. This is a really scary disease. It can cause cognitive impacts, it can cause chronic arthritis. I'm really scared about it every time I go outside, go on a hike. I don't want to have to worry about getting a deer tick and finding out later that I have this, that I can contract Lyme disease. We know that this is spreading because of longer, warmer conditions. It's all the range is expanding, and also they're surviving in greater numbers. And so that's just one example of how it's impacting some people I know, as well as because of the wetter, the more humid conditions and the hotter conditions, I have pretty bad seasonal allergies, and I can definitely tell you year after year, it's getting worse with climate change.
Thank you for sharing that, Lindsay. It's so true. And while you were sharing, it made me think of 2 pieces of the bill that are so important. One, these impacts are happening now. And currently, Maryland, the state of Maryland, does not have a way to calculate these costs. We're not even putting a note in the budget to say, oh, this expenditure was related to climate. Oh, this is related to excessive flooding. Oh, this is related to drought. We are literally not categorizing that anywhere. And where it really stands out in the Climate Pollution Reduction Plan, if you all know about that, the document that MDE produced, the only figure as far as cost in that document is $1 billion a year that's needed for mitigating climate change. There's no figure that is attached to building resilience in Maryland. And the other thing that I was thinking about when you shared, Lindsay, is the fact that when fully implemented, the purpose of Renew is to invest into these problems and pay for solutions. So that's one thing that makes me really excited about the Renew Act. as a fully implemented polluters pay bill. But let's wrap up our panel discussion with a quick round robin. What is your organization doing to advance the campaign, and or what do you think everyday Marylanders can do?
I can go ahead. So as I mentioned, we sit on the Maryland Grassroots Environmental Justice Working Group, and our main purpose is really to uplift the voices of folks who are historically underserved and overburdened by climate change. And so in an effort to kind of elevate those voices, we're currently working on a one-pager that kind of speaks to those environmental justice principles and implications, and really trying to highlight those voices from our own membership. And just, giving examples of where that climate funding can be invested. So we're hoping that, we can use this as a one pager as a resource or a talking point when holding these conversations with legislators to really drive home that point that the bill is going to advance environmental justice. So if you're interested in, talking about the implications of environmental justice as they relate to the Renew Bill, please do get in touch with me. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat. And yeah, looking forward to working with you as well.
All right, anybody else who wants to chime in from our panel? 10 seconds.
Yeah, I can chime in quickly. We've been mobilizing our members to email and call their legislators, and sometimes, multiple times throughout the summer. And just getting the word out in our various communications channels, our newsletter, social media, and so on.
Fantastic.
I guess
All right.
oh,
Oh, go ahead, Anya.
sorry, I was gonna say really quick, I think enfranchising youth is definitely an indirect, but in my opinion, like a really unique and orthogonal way of potentially helping this effort, because I think we're bringing to light a voting bloc that cares very deeply about this problem. And if you're interested in familiarizing yourself with our movement, if you just search up Vote 16 Maryland, will pop up. And there are a lot of new cities that have recently lowered the voting age. I think some of you guys are from those cities, which is awesome. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, now let's go to Dustin to tell us a little bit more about how volunteers can get involved.
How's it going, everyone? Good evening. My name is Dustin Branch. I'm the Baltimore Regional Coordinator living in the greatest city in America, Baltimore City. So here's how we need you to get involved. First, we are going to share in the chat what we call our ETT, our email to target. So send that email to your legislators to call on them to overturn the veto. We're going to share that in the chat, and then right after this, Beth is going to go over what that looks like. Number two, we need you to organize an in-district lobby meeting. So a meeting with either one of your legislators, or maybe it's all three of your delegates, including your senator. It really depends on their availability, or you can have multiple meetings. Either way, we are going to support you in organizing these events by providing feedback on the agenda, helping to recruit folks in your district, and helping to follow up with legislators if they are unresponsive. Number three, we also need you to get 3 of your friends to send this email as well. That relational organizing is so, so important, and we need you to go out to your networks and share this ETT with your friends, your community organizations, and help recruit and petition people to sign it. And lastly, attend events in your community that you know your legislators are either hosting or attending, and lobby them directly. There are so many different wonderful fall events that are happening right now. We'll try to let you know if there's one going on in your area, but always keep an eye out and let us know if you see something that we have not. I'll pass it over to you, Beth.
Thank you, Dustin. Good evening, everyone. My name is Beth Landry. I'm joining you from Tacoma Park, but I live in DC. I'm your Central Maryland coordinator. So I work with Prince George's, Montgomery, and Southern Maryland. My pronouns are they, them, and very glad to be joining you on the call this evening. I'll talk a little bit about the ETT that Dustin was referencing. We're going to continue organizing right here tonight by doing an incredibly important action. All of us together. Each one of us is going to send emails to our legislators here shortly. And you can do this on your computer or using your phone. We've heard some really thoughtful and compelling reasons from here with the CCAN as well as our organizing allies as to why this legislation is especially critical to each of us here tonight, as well as to all of the Marylanders statewide who aren't joining us. That said, we want to make sure to take a moment to reflect on why making polluters pay matters and is personal to you, your friends, your family, and your community. This may be a statewide fight, but it matters especially to each and every one of us, and we have a story to tell. You can, of course, draft the email to send as we've drafted it, but we really encourage personalizing it and adding in a couple of sentences about why making polluters pay is especially important to you, and we encourage you to do so. We also have in our tool guide an email or text message that you can copy and paste. Like we said, we want you to share this with three friends or family in Maryland, asking them to take this action with you. And so, when we start our breakout rooms, we're going to be going into those shortly. First, we want to make sure that you send off that email. And if you haven't had a chance yet, if one of my folks can pop into the chat the link for looking up everyone's legislative district, just to make sure that you've got that handy so that you can find out who your legislators are and who you're sending those to. But you want to take a moment to think about the personal note that you want to send, and another minute to jot down 3 friends or family that you're going to be sending this to after you finish with yours. Next, we'll send off for about 3 minutes your emails to the legislators, letting them know why it matters to you and why it's so personal. And when we're done, we're going to congratulate ourselves because you're the first people all across the state who are kicking off the next phase of this campaign here tonight with us. And we'll celebrate that moment when we get to it. Thank you. And I'll hand it off to Mustafa, who's going to talk a little bit more about the logistics of the breakouts.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, and so excited to get into these breakouts with you all. We're gonna take when we get into the breakouts, we're gonna take a few minutes just to make sure that you've submitted your email to your legislators. And so, if you've got any questions, you can ask your amazing facilitators. But this is your opportunity to voice your concern and what you want to say to your legislators. So you can actually feel free to edit and adapt the email to your own reasons for supporting Make Polluters Pay. The second thing is that we'll probably spend about close to, right now, probably about close to 25 minutes or so actually in our round robin breakouts. So we're doing a round robin, I should say. So we're gonna, it'll be a space for you to share in your breakout just what's motivating you to show up, and what lobby team roles you're gonna be interested in, and the talking about potential dates for organizing your in-district meetings over the course of this next 6 weeks. So we're really going to be looking for people to be taking on the leadership role as being a lobby lead, to helping just to organize your meetings and making sure that there's an agenda and that people know what their roles are. And then we also need somebody to take a leading role on doing recruitment, to making sure that we have a constituency that's showing up that is as representative as we can make it for the district that for your district. So so we have 5 different breakouts. One is largely Montgomery County. You can see on the screen here, it's districts 14 through 17 and 19 and 39. If you are to the Tacoma Park area, downtown Silver Spring, you're going to be in the districts 18 to 20, 21, and basically all of the Prince George's County districts are listed there as well. For Baltimore, we have two different breakouts. One is going to be for districts 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 40. And then we have a separate one that's going to be districts 41 to 46. And if you do not fall within those districts, you are going to be under the tremendous leadership and facilitation of Brittany. And so you will join Brittany's breakout. So if we can make the breakouts go live, let's plan just facilitators. Let's try to circle back at like 8:09, and we'll give ourselves a few minutes to wrap up.
Sure. I was very, very glad to see that a lot of my Economic Matters Committee legislators who might be on the fringe of our issues, whether it's because they don't usually vote our way or they're in districts that we don't have a lot of reach into, people showed up today. And so I'm excited to be connected to them so that we can build our base in those areas and really work hard to get those legislators to vote in favor of our issues.
Amazing, amazing. Thanks so much, Brittany. Let's go to Lindsay's group. Lindsay, what highlights do you want to share?
Yeah, we had a fantastic group. There's a lot of people from different backgrounds, from the faith community, a member who does climate education at the Flight Space Center, which is awesome, and is interested in spreading the word that way. And there's people that have already been having conversations, like in District 39. It sounds like they've already been talking about it at different events that are going on. And yeah, there's a few different people who definitely volunteered, or hopefully I'm not volunteering, but I think I heard that they're interested in either facilitating a meeting or helping to recruit people. So
Fantastic. Um, let's go to Beth. Beth, you share a highlight?
So there is never enough time, never enough time. But yeah, we had folks sprinkling from what, 9 different districts in the group, so we got a head start, but a lot of cross-pollination and things already in the works, which is good. Some folks have already started organizing for the different districts, and we have representation from folks from a lot of different organizations, both in Montgomery County, Prince George's County. So we're going to keep the conversation moving in 9 different directions from my end.
This is not a done deal, and that's why we need everyone on this call and your friends, family, neighbors, organizations to help us get this veto override vote done.
Yeah. And just to wrap it up, there's want to remind folks of the next steps here. We You have the outreach guide. We'll also send this all in a follow-up email tomorrow, but you can copy and paste the email language, the texting language that's in the outreach guide. Get a couple of your friends to send their emails to their legislators in support of the Make Polluters Pay. And I would love for folks over by the end of next week just to work with your organizers, so primarily Beth and with Dustin, to reach out to the legislators and try to see if you can get a meeting on the books in the next few weeks. Most importantly is as you prepare for these meetings is to just talk with Beth or Dustin to make sure that you've got the recruitment lined up. You want to get a couple of people to these meetings and so make sure that you got some good representation from the district there. The next thing is, and I'll ask for Beth or Dustin, put it in the chat, to sign up for our lobbying workshop on October 23rd from 6:30 to 8 p.m. This is actually for everybody, whether you're newer to this or you've done this with us a bunch of times. We will spend the first 30 or 40 minutes of that just going over the lobbying roles, lobbying content, best practices. But the bulk of that meeting is actually for our lobbying teams to meet and to prepare for meetings that they have scheduled after the 23rd. We really need to get like meetings done, this fall, right? So this is this calendar year. Most of these meetings probably going to happen before the end of November. So it is good just to reach out to your legislators and to see when they are available, so you can coordinate with the people who are on your team and get those meetings scheduled over the next few weeks. So we'll send out resources for the lobbying meetings in the follow-up email. We'll send out links for you to schedule one-on-ones with your organizers if you want to talk to them more about the roles. But also, don't worry. They will be following up with you next week and making sure that you have what you need. So thanks so much for everybody joining us, and thank you 1,000 times over for stepping up and taking on leadership roles in our in-district meetings. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna just invite the facilitators, if we can maybe just stay on for a few minutes. I just want to do a quick debrief.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so
Talk
much.
Thank
soon.
you all.
Reach out anytime.